Yes. Reset, rip. Perfect comp.
It's crazy how Conor Benn's career has gone, because he's a huge name, a huge draw, and a huge money fight now for anyone fighting him. Yeah.
Well, if he makes the adjustments and if the conditions are exactly the same as they were for the contractual conditions are exactly the same as they were in the first place, I'm going.
Chris Eubank Jr is visibly taken aback by Conor Benn's bulked-up frame and newfound strength. The rematch now leans heavily toward Benn, whose added power has caught the boxing world off guard. His size and physical presence could drastically change the fight dynamic, making it far tougher for Eubank to recover from their first brutal meeting.
This guy has zero respect for anything, and I hope people can see through it. Some will, some won't. But if you can't see them, that's a lot of what happened up there was just wrong. So listen, we go to work and we're in to win the fight. It's going to be different this time.
The chaos of the egg slap saga and Chris Eubank SR's dramatic involvement once dominated attention, but now all focus has shifted to Conor Benn. His enhanced size and surprising strength have swung public interest his way, leaving Eubank Jr struggling to reclaim the same spotlight and giving Benn a clear advantage in perception.
It was the perfect storm of events, from the egg slap, from the 2.5-year build-up, from the Chris Eubank Sr reveal. You're not going to get all that again.
You're not going to get that.
And that reveal and the egg slap and everything else made it just one that even people that I know don't like boxing were like, okay, I'm intrigued, I need to watch.
But won't
that intrigue's gone.
Won't that carry?
Despite all the drama surrounding this rivalry, nothing commands a crowd like Conor Benn entering the ring. His power and presence draw attention instantly, placing pressure on Eubank Jr to match that energy. Benn's aura has shifted the momentum, and it's clear who carries the hype into the rematch.
Go look at what they delivered in the ring. We want to see it again.
It could. I believe it could. But I think one main thing that's not on the, headlines of news.
Johnny Nelson argues that Eubank Jr cannot improve on his last performance, noting how stiff and stuck his legs appeared, almost as if he were trapped in quicksand. Conor Benn, however, has clearly progressed. This rematch could look completely different, with Benn's movement and stamina potentially giving him the edge.
I do see improvement there for Conor, and I do think the results will be different the other way around in the next fight. I think it'll go the distance all over again.
Conor Benn says he lives for moments like this and has visualized the rematch hundreds of times. He has pushed himself outside his comfort zone, cutting out distractions and dedicating everything to training. Benn is fully locked in and ready for Saturday night. No mind games, just a promise of pure action in the ring against Eubank Jr.
I live for this. I've had the fight over 100 times in my head. For me, it's just focusing on the training, removing myself from my comfort zones, my familiarities, my family, and, fully dialing in. I'm not going to allow myself to Chris and go back and forth and, all that PR's done. I'm excited to get in there and put my hands on him Saturday.
Johnny Nelson emphasizes that Benn will be the better man this time, while Eubank Jr may have already given all he can. Benn showed huge resilience in the first fight, surviving against the odds. With the experience gained and the gap now bridgeable, Benn has a genuine chance to flip the script in the rematch.
Does that mean you think do you think Conor Benn will be better in the second fight?
Yes,
Does that mean that you think that by him being better and there's no more left from Chris Eubank, that Conor Benn's able to bridge the gap and get an outcome in his second fight?
Without a doubt.
You do?
He couldn't have done any more. If he could have knocked out Conor in that fight, he would have done. He just couldn't get rid of him. And Conor stuck it. So regardless of him being surprised that Conor stuck it out a lot more, he couldn't get...
Adala makes it clear that size matters, and the bigger man often holds the advantage. Conor Benn now knows he can hurt Eubank Jr and understand his power. With Eubank aging and Benn still hungry, the rematch becomes even more intriguing. The event could easily sell out Tottenham Stadium again.
In the end, bigger guy won it. The rematch is going to be interesting, I think. He's now realised that I can hurt that fighter. I've felt the other fighter's power. Next time, I know what's coming. I think he might even do better in the next one. I think he's got a shout to win it.
And Eubank's older.
I get these fights, but you do want to see Benn. Can you kick on to try and win a...
Conor Benn must start fast and strong, as Eubank Jr.'s experience could take over in later rounds. Benn's youth, speed, and explosiveness are his best tools to overshadow Eubank's size and stamina. To gain control, He must set the tempo early before Eubank settles into rhythm. Fans expect a rapid start from Benn to neutralize Eubank's advantages.
And jumping up a weight is hard, but jumping up 2 is even harder. So Chris has got the advantage if it goes past 6. Ben's got to get this done early, otherwise it's going to be Chris's. I predict Chris in round 6.
Chris predicts a 6th-round finish, while Johnny Nelson believes this is Benn's perfect shot at revenge. Benn showed room for improvement in their first clash, whereas Eubank Jr looked drained. If Benn sharpens his tactics and conditions properly, he has the upper hand. A faster, more aggressive Conor Benn is what fans should expect this time.
It's going to be revenge. I'm flipping. I think both fighters put on an amazing performance. I think both fighters were spot on. I think both fighters should be really proud of themselves. I think Chris Jr., he rinsed himself out when there was nothing left to give. Whereas I looked at Conor, I thought, you've got something left to give. And so if he makes the adjustments, and if the conditions are exactly the same as they were contractually conditions are exactly the same as they were in the first place.
Hamza Shiraz predicts Benn wins inside 6 rounds, pointing out that Eubank's weight could slow him once again. Benn's speed, conditioning, and increased power give him a real advantage. Their first fight was grueling, but Benn learned from it and looks physically stronger. Expect an explosive start as Benn tries to overwhelm Eubank early and finish decisively.
What's your prediction, Benn or Eubank?
I've got Conor Benn to win inside 6 rounds. I feel like the weight will affect Eubank too much on how it affected him before as well. And it was a hard fight, it wasn't an easy fight. Yeah, Conor Benn to win inside.
Oscar de la Hoya highlights how dangerous this immediate rematch is, even calling it potentially career-ending. The stakes are enormous, and both fighters enter with raw intensity. Benn's youth and strength help him handle the pressure, while Eubank Jr leans on experience and toughness. This fight promises a brutal, high-energy battle from the opening bell.
With these rematches, with these types of intense fights taking place, like Conor and Eubank, a rematch right away will probably end their career. You know, it's that intense.
Simon Jordan notes the offering drama shaping public perception between Benn and Eubank Jr. The spectacle of their first fight was unforgettable, but Benn's mental focus now gives him a major advantage. Eubank's repeated narratives cannot match Benn's preparation, strength, and hunger. Benn looks more determined, confident, and physically imposing, ready to shock the world again.
One main thing that's not on the, headlines of news is when you talk to people about their relationship with their parents, they link it a lot to that show, which I was surprised about. People like, I called my dad as soon as I left the arena.
Because Eubank said that, didn't he?
He said that. People I've spoken to personally was like, I called my dad, I texted him straight
But
away.
as a spectacle, which was the big translation, wasn't it? Which people said it crossed over. I mean, there's only so many times he's going to tell Barry Hearn's son to shut up at a press conference, isn't there? There's only so many times we're going to be able to hear Chris.
Eddie Hearn stresses just how much this rematch means to Conor Benn, who is fiercely hungry for redemption. This isn't just another fight, it's a defining moment. Eubank Jr. may boast size and experience, but Benn's desire to correct the first fight's mistakes gives him a psychological edge. At 160 pounds, Benn's speed and fitness could neutralize Eubank's strengths as he looks to dominate early.
We got to have a think about it. Conor's saying, I want revenge, I want this, and it's the biggest fight, it's massive. But you don't want too many fights like that, and we're giving away advantage up here.
Benn's growth, discipline, and tactical improvements make him a serious threat. Eubank Jr. remains dangerous, but Benn's youth, hunger, and pace set him apart. This is a statement opportunity, one that could establish Benn as a legitimate force at higher weights. Expect a controlled, confident performance as he looks to close the show efficiently.
I said, man, once you get past this fight, you dominate this fight, they can't deny you fighting for a world title, At 160, I believe he can be a world champion.
At 160?
At 160, I believe he can be a world champion.
Conor Benn calls out Eubank Jr. for playing the victim and makes it clear he doesn't care. His focus is locked on the fight, the strategy, and execution. Benn's confidence and mental strength stand out as he enters the rematch stronger, heavier, and better prepared. Eubank's mind games are unlikely to work, and Benn looks set to assert himself from round 1.
My preview of this fight is the same as it would have been for the fathers. How unusual is that? So you got Benn, the smaller man, And then there's a hydration clause. He was a welterweight, then he fought a few fights at junior middleweight. But Eubank's been a middleweight and super middleweight most of his career. So he is the guy who's bigger. I see the fight as Ben having to get close without taking...
The stage is ready for one of the most anticipated rematches in recent British boxing history. Benn's physical growth and increased strength have shifted the advantage toward him. If Eubank Jr wins, it will highlight his experience and resilience, but the younger, faster, and hungrier Benn appears unstoppable. After studying every detail of their first fight, Benn knows where to attack and how to avoid damage. Expect explosive action, sharp tactics, and possibly a defining victory that pushes Benn toward world title contention. Will Benn dominate the rematch, or can Eubank Jr shock everyone? Share your prediction below.